table, thanks to Beverly. That's right. Making the covers, and it's amazing how many people walk by and said, oh, that's a great idea, because you don't have to look around at what table you're supposed to be at. Beverly made it easy for us. Of course, every morning I walked in, I always saw Jim sitting at that table. So that was another surprise. I don't think he went home the entire day.
I have to tell you how that happened, because was it 35 years ago? It was not assigned seating, and they were just rows and rows and rows. And so I got this idea, well, we're going to save our seats. And that's how they started. I've got 6 of them. And they're Good Shepherd sheep embroidered on covers that go over the backs of the chairs.
So we can't grow.
Well, that's just the delegates. We can space them. But that's how it started. And now everybody knows it's Good Shepherd's table.
But now intentionally they don't mark the table so that people will sit with other churches.
Well, and that was one of my comments, my 2 surprises or whatever. One is like, I was surprised that like the tables weren't designated so I could look out and say, oh, that's that church. Oh, I could go over and talk to them, and I can go talk to them. I had no idea who anybody was. And it was sort of like, okay. And I just kind of stayed in my little group then. I mean, it would have been nice to say, oh, look out at a table and say, that's
talk to them about
St.
some of their
Tim's, or that's,
projects, yeah.
oh, what's it like in Grand Junction, you know? So that was just sort of interesting, like, not like the political conventions where you hold it, oh, this is Ohio.
You know, that, I think though that would be a good comment to share with Janet Choice, because that is a good reason for churches to sit together, even though I understand why they don't do that.
Because they sit together anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought,
Yeah, a lot of churches do.
Yeah.
And don't at General Convention, everybody has their own table, and you have the Bronco flags and the.
I imagine that there will be a survey coming out. There's always a survey, so I've answered the survey, put that in.
and my other surprise or general comment, I'll jump right in, and since the chancellor's here, it's a little intimidating to say. No, I mean, I thought it was very well run, and just like a good annual meeting, a good annual board meeting, you want it to be boring and no drama, because you want all the business to be done beforehand.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's like I thought, are we gonna do anything real stuff here? And it's like all the real stuff is done in committee and before, and you just kind of have this little convention to just sort of bless it all. And so that's a sign of a good organization, I think, that you're not at your convention fighting over stuff. And so I thought that was a good comment, but it's a little boring as a delegate. So,
It's lots of reports.
particularly Friday was like, we could have done this in a half hour. I could go put some hours, you know. It's like, that was like, okay, we got a day for this.
Well, that is a major change, though. I can remember 10 years ago and so forth, everything was done there. You know, the budget hearing was done there. The seminars were done
Committees
there.
here, committees there.
All the reports being read.
So, in the Diocese of Atlanta, which is where I came from, we did the whole long hoopla. I don't know what they do now, of course, because I think this change happened as of COVID. I thought it was, I enjoyed, and I know you said you're a geek when it comes to all of that. Yeah, I am not a geek, and I loved it when we broke out into groups and hashed through things. I mean, the discussions were really, really good. So I think and people are getting to meet each other face to face. And I think you don't get as much involvement when it's online like it all is. I agree with part of it being online, but I don't go. I want to sit in front of my screen for several hours on a Saturday. So.
Well, for example, I think when you do the budget hearings in person, you get a lot more questions. When it's online, I don't think there might have been one question this year, but you just don't get as many questions. And I knew there was a major bust in the budget, and finally I pointed it out to Nancy, and she said, "Oh, you're right." So, yeah. I think the biggest surprise for me was the fact that 3 of the 8 delegates going to General Convention in Phoenix in 27 are from this church, which is really,
That's phenomenal.
I mean, that was a real surprise. I mean, I guess looking back.
And they're all in this room.
We're all there, yeah.
That's been going on for a while though.
September, August, how in
More
the
than clear,
For
yeah.
a year, so.
We're
Who
elected,
makes that decision?
we're elected.
It was elected,
Yeah, it was an election,
you run for it.
yeah.
You put your name in and
Yeah.
fill something out.
And then you run around and talk to people and tell them how much they love you.
I had a manager to do
Hand
that.
out $5 bills.
We have-
So they're elected at convention?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we have 4 lay delegates
I mean, that
and
was
4
like-
clergy, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the main things we did at the convention, was elect the delegates to the general convention.
Well, to add on to what Andy was saying about things being so organized and everything was like done and it's right there, it is, you still see how the congregations, all the various congregations of the laity, are part of all these various committees because you elect them, you see them, so that you see that this really is not a top-down structure, but a group of really dedicated people, all of us there in the same room, and everybody's pretty much committed to the same thing, which is trying to build the church into an organization that can help those less fortunate, provide for the needs of our own as well as for the needs of those who are not among our own fold. And that we're all sort of there with the same same purpose. And that's a very, to me, that was always very inspiring. This is the second time I've been a delegate. I've been 3 times. I was an alternate when Bishop Kim was elected, and I have been in Alabama, at Diocesan, Alabama convocation as well. And it's always, you always get that feeling that everybody is there for the same purpose. We all sort of have the same underlying faith. We sometimes express it in different ways, but yet we're all there with one goal in mind. And that sense of sameness and unity, all working towards a set of really very similar goals in our various parishes, is, I find, very inspiring, very fulfilling, very worthwhile.
And I'd say when we broke into the various regions, I mean, I made sure I sat at a table where I was the only one from our church. So there was a bunch of people there from, I think, let's see, St. Barnabas was at my table and St. Martin's in the Field, and we had a great conversation.
I was
Was that
like
Friday night?
Andy, that when it was getting pretty boring until Bishop Curry came up to me.
That's stand up.
And that
That's
kind of,
amazing.
to me, it kind of made a good reason for the trip, because the man still has the fire that we should all be out on the street, preaching on street corners, preaching the word of God and bringing people to Christ.
We're Episcopalian.
We don't do any of that.
We'll talk about that, we'll talk about that during Epiphany.
We don't have to do that with words, though.
Yep, exactly, that's correct.
Oh, we all do that, and we go out and,
I know, that's my standing.
But it was real
I've
refreshing.
not been lifelong Episcopalian. I was also very pleased about, here we are, all Episcopalians in a big convention room, and we have electronic voting where we can vote on something, and within 5 minutes, we have the answer. It's the tech world, and I'm always pleased that works so well, because they struggled a bit the first time we tried that in Grand Junction, but.
Yeah, and to that point, I think, Larry, you can, whoever puts the agenda together counts in, what we were accustomed to having, well, they gotta go count the ballots, and all of that time that we don't need anymore.
Yeah.
You know, especially now that we've done it several years and it is like within 5 minutes. Go ahead.
I was very pleased too that a little bit nervous about the fact that Carla put her name in the pot to go to national convention. And then I was really shocked when she was voted in. Now, what do I do now?
Go with it,
I'm
have
gonna have to
fun.
go with her.
You have to go to Phoenix in July.
Yeah.
Phoenix in
Hey,
July.
Jim will be there.
All expense paid trip.
Larry will be there.
Phoenix in July.
So I was very pleased for the fact that she's becoming very well known around the diocese of Colorado, so
Maybe.
That's great.
maybe.
I was more shocked than he.
And Ellen, I think I told you after Carl was elected, you have the best possible journey to Phoenix because you don't have any responsibilities and you just get to pop around all this exciting stuff and you meet a million people. It's wonderful.
Party.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a great opportunity for everybody because it is in Phoenix. It's probably as close as it's gonna be to Denver unless it's in Denver. But it's a great opportunity. I mean, if you just go and walk around the exhibit hall, you will be amazed. Because there are so many exhibits there at General Convention, and it's just fun. I mean, and they give away food.
I was impressed at how well Bishop Curry looks.
Yeah.
He has had some significant health problems.
Yeah.
He really looks great. He seems to be doing well, Alan has a lot of energy and seems.
Retirement. He does wonderful.
Yeah, who knew the soap operas would have been live in this?
That was hilarious,
Yeah,
because
we-
those are the soaps that we
Oh, yeah.
watch.
Yeah, delighted because we found out it was exactly the two soaps that we watched. And I'm sure most of the people didn't understand what he was saying because they don't watch the soaps better than I.
Was there anything that dismayed you?
That what?
Dismayed you? Or surprised you in a not so positive?
How about the cost of the hotel rooms?
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people who have to pay it.
Well, get your pledges in and we can maybe.
What'd you say, Ann?
Get your pledges in and maybe we could fund all that, yeah.
I've gotta say though, I was just in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on a non-football weekend, and the rooms were more expensive than they were here.
Well, as most people know, I stayed out of way, but it was really funny. I stayed at a Motel 6, I paid $50 a night. However, when I checked in, they said, unfortunately, our boiler went out yesterday, so you have no hot water. So I just didn't take a shower when I was there.
Didn't they give it to you for free or anything?
No. Well, they gave me 10% off, so.
You,
Yeah, sure,
you could, Jim, you could use the shower in my room. You could have borrowed it. Heck. I was wondering what was going on. No,
He wanted to see
While we
from
were
the
all
shower
sitting so far
towel.
away from you.
And you thought they would just, clear the path for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Pueblo's a great place to have it. Their convention center is great. Free parking right across the street. I mean, it's really convenient. Nice restaurants close. We went as a group for dinner and it was great. Larry actually went with the bishop. He said he couldn't turn down that offer.
Because the bishop paid for it. That's the whole reason.
Don't most of the delegations pay for their delegate, most of
Yes.
the parishes pay
I
for
don't
their.
know.
We don't know.
St. Tim's does, and that's the only
We
one we
knew
know.
St. Tim's pays the whole thing.
St. John's Breck does.
Yeah, so,
Well, that's a good idea. Because it's
It's expensive.
we want to go, but at the same time, it is a volunteer.
I think it
Next-
does.
Next
it
was
does.
in Westminster, right?
Next
So-
was Westminster, so that
next
you
week,
don't have to
yeah.
stay there. But I think it does make a smaller pool of people that can represent.
Yeah,
Sure.
amongst the regulars.
In general, also, who doesn't get paid to go to general? Do alternates?
The second, third, and fourth alternates have to pay their own way, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so mostly they don't do it, frankly.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Well, yeah, and the expense, that and the 3-day sort of nature of it, or the Thursday through Saturday nature of it,
That's-
has its own problem.
Get that
I came from the
time
Diocese of
away.
California, which is 5 counties, okay, so, and they had a one-day convention. It was just Saturday, everything got done on Saturday, and and it was at the cathedral, so everybody knew where it was gonna be, you know, it was easy to do. But nobody traveled any more than an hour to get there, really, and nobody had to stay overnight. And the advantage of that was that cost was gone, but it also made it possible for people who worked or went to school or all of those other kinds of things to be represented at the table, because it was just a Saturday, unless they had, normally had to work on a Saturday. So, but you can't do that in a place like Colorado unless you do it all online.
Yeah, we actually are kind of on a 3-year cycle. We were anyways. Once it's in Denver, once it's on the western slope, which is generally Grand Junction. But then alternately, we go to Fort Collins or out to the ranch. We've gone to the ranch several times. Or we go to, if we go south, we'll go either Colorado Springs or Pueblo. So we move it around quite a bit. And I think we delayed bringing it to Denver because they were struggling to find a place that was affordable for people coming in from out of town.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And well, in fact, it was, the convention next year was gonna be, believe it or not, in Snowmass, which is just shocking. And that didn't work out for contractual reasons. But then at the very last minute, we did find it's a decent rate in Westminster.
Other, just general reflections, whether it was, on the conversations that we had in the region, anything there that came out of your table discussions was of interest to Good Shepherd?
I don't remember.
I don't remember details either
And she kind of led it.
on my note.
Oh, there we go.
I thought the questions, Front Range, did everybody do the same questions? I don't remember,
I
but
don't think so.
I think the
But it was
commissioners
close.
kind of collaborated on the questions that we would be asked, and I thought they were good questions. And I saw a lot of really good discussions going on at the different tables. Our table had a good discussion too.
If you remind me of the questions.
They were relating back to,
How is your
Things-
congregation making a witness?
yeah, to Bishop Curry's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm officially in the Northwest region, and it was good.
And I think we'll get a copy of those.
we will.
And I think
Oh, yeah,
we can
that's
send
right.
them out for people to look at.
Yeah, that's right, they were collecting things, that's right.
So at least for High Plains region, I know they'll come out, I think.
They will.
Were there other? What about,
I like the discussion about the affiliate membership because it was, there was some action going on. And changing of.
What membership?
Affiliate member.
Bye, Elaine.
Bye, Lane.
About permitting affiliate membership, so if you are a member, perhaps say in Texas, of a church, but you spend 4 months a year up
A lot of
in
Episcopalians do that.
Aspen,
Yeah.
you know, you could be.
Or Breckenridge
Or
and
Breckenridge.
Centennial, right?
Right.
You can,
Yeah, well,
And do we know
you
anybody
can
who does
actually be
that?
a member and
What?
serve
Do
on
we
a
know
vestry at that other church.
yeah,
Oh,
and I think, I thought that was a good discussion too, and,
Mhm.
it makes a whole lot of sense in some parts of the country more than others. Although maybe less, we're such a destination, so people would come here, but that would mean that they would be leaving places, like Missouri or something like that.
Texas.
Be there part of the time, it wouldn't be the
Be
people.
careful.
doing it. The other thing related to that really surprised me, and well, I guess it surprised me, but maybe not, was on the votes that we took, not on people, but on legislation or things like that. It was 267 to 2. And I kept thinking, what is it with these 2 people or these 4 people?
Yeah.
I couldn't understand, are they still part of the church? I mean, what was the issue behind some of that? I don't know,
Just
you
to
know, the
be
budget,
Just to be contrary.
Yeah, right, just kind of like, well, I wanted my vote to count. And it was one of the two. So I don't know. Do you have any insight on that?
I have some thoughts about it. The affiliate membership thing really came up a year ago, so people had a year to reflect on it and think about it. So it wasn't brand new, even though it was a fairly dramatic change. And we perceive that because it's a canon change at the diocesan level, our sense is that there will be, in the next 5 years, a handful of the dioceses to try it out too, because we know there's a lot of interest around the greater church. And you were talking earlier, I think, Nadine, you mentioned the online hearings, and I had attended both of them, and as Jim said, there was only one question or two about the budget. And I thought there'd be 5 or 6 people at the hearing on the affiliate membership, but started with 48 and ended up with a little over that, and there was a lot of discussion. I was totally shocked by that. So people were interested, and then we engaged, Andy particularly knows this, we engaged a lot on Thursday with a group that was very uncomfortable with this notion, and a group that was supporting it, trying to get them closer and closer together, which ultimately I think worked out.
Good.
And we actually started that right after the Saturday thing, because then I talked to a person who was on the site and said, this has got to be fine-tuned a bit, and we talked about, that was Chuck Theobald, who's the president of the Standing Committee, who came up with a very, very good amendment to the canon change that was very successful. I think it was all pretty healthy, actually. As to why you got a handful of people always are contrary, that just sort of comes with being American, I think.
Yeah, in fact, the only question that we had on the budget was aimed at Larry.
Yeah,
It had to do with, why are we spending so much on legal expense? That was behind the question. That wasn't the way it was asked exactly. And I don't think we got much of an answer. I was waiting for somebody to throw it. I think it got thrown to you, actually.
Well, and I sort of, just said, I didn't even have, I was prepared the following week if people said, well, what does a chancellor do?
Yeah, as long as it's
Because
on.
people don't have
Yeah,
much of a
but
sense
it's
of
all
that.
confidential, so.
But
we can't-
yeah, so much of it is
I
confidential.
could tell you when I'd have to shoot you, and then we wouldn't have a church.
And you'd be surprised, I mean, having served on the standing committee, I know there's a lot of things that go on from a legal expense that are confidential and Larry can't talk about and so
Anyway.
forth, but they happen, and we've been well represented and they've been handled. But you'd be amazed at the things that go on that we never hear about.
Yeah, but it's a very fair question, and I actually passed on again through Chuck, because the man that asked the question I didn't know, but he's the senior warden at Grace of St. Stephen's. I said, happy to talk on the phone with him or meet with him on Thursday,
He's a good person.
and, in terms of getting a little more
Insight.
detail on that.
What else was on the budget question? Do you
Well,
recall?
they had changed something right at the end of it. It was $630,000, and they forgot to add it into the expenses. And I was amazed that nobody picked it up. And finally, I cornered Nancy and I said, I think your budget's wrong. And I showed her and she said,
Loved hearing you say that.
well, I did it in person because I didn't think it was a big deal. And
What
so,
was the item?
I don't remember if I had.
Well, because
Yeah.
Jim, the
But-
budget goes by the standing committee
Yeah.
twice before.
The numbers on the bottom, well, the number on the bottom for expense was not incorrect. If you listen to Nancy, what she said when she presented the budget, we've corrected the budget, and it is right, and it's out there for your edification. So they went overnight and corrected it, so. But I didn't want to make a big issue of it. I was just surprised that nobody else picked up on it.
Well, shame on us, maybe.
Was it just that they didn't add it in?
Yeah, they didn't add in the $630,000 to expenses.
That was not legal expenses, let me emphasize.
Thank you, Larry.
I'm looking across the room at Karen, who wasn't a delegate, but who was there in an entirely
I
different.
have been a delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were, at this convention, you were there
I did my service.
in an entirely different
I
capacity.
did. I
And
got
what
a
was that like?
totally different perspective. I'll let people know that I am the president of the United Think Offering of the Episcopal Church.
Yes.
And I originally signed up for Diocesan Convention as a vendor because we gave a grant to Ascension in Pueblo this past granting cycle for their Laundry Love program. And unfortunately, they had to decline the grant, which is fine because that'll just go into the pot for next year, just to letting you know. But that was kind of the reason why I wanted to go, because I wanted to talk to people one-on-one about UTO grants, try to, we always have interests from Colorado. They tend to be a little different. Our grants have to be administered. The money has to go to an Episcopal entity, so sometimes we get nonprofits applying and we have to say, no, that's not within our granting. It has to go to an Episcopal church or a Jubilee ministry or something like that. But anyway, so I went there. So I talked to a lot of people about grants and people were very interested. So, let's hope our next granting cycle will be based on justice and bringing two different communities together in a project. So, and all the criteria is on our website and you can certainly talk to me personally. And also, I help with the granting process for the diocese and I work with Kirsten. So I talk to Kirsten a lot about all that. The second reason why I went is a growing segment of UTO is clergy all over the country and the provinces who are very interested in our formation materials. And also we get feedback from clergy saying, I'm tired of not being thanked. And they're very interested in bringing this culture and spiritual discipline of gratitude to their churches. So I talked to tons of clergy in the diocese. It was really gratifying talking to them about our formation materials. Just got really good feedback on that. My kind of nerdy thing is the Anglican Theological Review did an edition on gratitude, and I have copies of that, and I give it to people, and a woman came back to I gave it to a woman who was interested in gratitude. She came back to my table the next day and said, thank you so much. I have a new perspective, a new spiritual perspective on gratitude, and I'm so thrilled that you gave me this material. And I'm so interested in embarking on this gratitude journey, which that made my day, because that's kind of what I'm an ambassador for. So that was my perspective, just talking one-on-one, having good conversations with clergy about, 3 things for their, children, young adults.
I brought stuff back and gave it to Sue.
I gave stuff.
I used it a couple of years ago.
Yes. Yes, I gave our clergy a copy of the ATR. And so that was my perspective, just where the United Think Offering, people think it's a woman's organization. It is not. We have not been a women's organization from the 1970s. In the 1970s, the church said United Think Offering is a ministry for all Episcopalians, for the entire church. And that's what I go out and promote. And we're diversifying our membership, our board, everything. So we're really trying to kind of work in that area.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I had a very upbeat, exciting.
Yes, there was a lot of traffic.
Entirely.
At your table there was a
entirely.
lot of traffic.
I'll tell you a funny story about Karen's husband, Ron, who was there to help.
Can't hear you, Jim.
He slept.
Yeah.
See, it says speak up.
Yeah, Ron Ellison was there with Karen, and he was just there to be her helper and carry stuff around. And I saw him one time, and I said, well, come on in and sit at our table and listen to something that's going on. I can't do that, I didn't pay the registration, oh, it can't be on the floor. And so I just laughed, I said, well, you can if you really want to come. No, I can't do that.
He went to the museum there, he thought it was fantastic, and
That's
did the
what
river walk, he really enjoyed it.
We didn't talk much about the exhibit, there was a lot of good exhibits.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I was gonna ask.
But boy, I'll tell you, they hid one whole row there, it took me a day and a half to figure out they were even there. They were sort of hidden.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was-
very cavernous
Yeah, and so-
environment, yeah, they should have put us together.
And there was one that I was really interested in, there's a gal from Elizabeth, who was the priest down there at their church, and working on her doctorate, and what she did is,
Elena
Elena, yeah.
Who's gone to the
Elena,
Methodist.
yeah.
right,
Lutheran.
and she has a book out now that she wrote after that, but she wanted to talk to people that had left the church, and for whatever reason, they weren't going back to the church, and it took her a long time. She did it for the county of Albert, which is very conservative. And she ended up, she just said, I put up signs along the road, if you left the church, give me a call. And that didn't, nobody called her. But what she did is she got on the Facebook for the city of Elizabeth and the county of Albert. And she got 41 people that she actually did a long interview with on why they had left the church. And it's really interesting. But
That's important to know.
unfortunately, it's a very, it's not a representative of the state of Colorado, but still it was interesting. The responses were interesting.
Where's Elizabeth? What part of town?
South.
Yeah,
East,
south.
straight east of
Go to
Colorado
Franktown and
Springs.
turn to the
Oh,
Frank.
Colorado
Yeah, Franklin.
Springs, yeah,
Just
okay,
on the,
okay.
Castle Rock.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Franktown.
Castle Rock.
You'll do
Oh,
Frank.
On 86,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
where
Okay.
Kiowa is, and
It's where the big Boy Scout ranch is.
yes,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
okay,
and
that,
Almost to
helps.
Kansas.
yes.
Kansas, if you like.
Okay.
For the rest of you who were there, walking through the exhibit hall, was there anything there that just said, oh, I didn't know, or why didn't we do that? Or anything else, was there anything in the exhibit hall that was worthy of comment?
Carl went through it 2 or 3 times, she has to have an answer to this question.
I can't remember. That's
Buy
the
some
problem.
jewelry.
Yes, there were at least 2 that I went, oh, but I don't remember.
The Presbyterian at the gun,
Yeah.
awareness
Oh,
table, she
yeah.
was very
Yeah.
impressive, I
Yeah,
talked to her
yeah.
for quite a while.
Yeah.
And, I liked her approach, how, a spiel, but how
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
conveyed
Not in
her
our
passion
face
for
by
this.
any means.
Has there been any conversation about how we make this, the statement has been made that everything was discussed prior to the convention, but has there been any discussion about making it more interesting for guys like Andy and myself, that changes, I don't know, to where we don't, by Friday afternoon, we start scratching our heads saying, what are we doing here? I mean, has there been any discussion about that? How do we change it up to make it a little bit more, I know it's a business meeting, I'm running out of how do we make it a little bit more interesting, other than dragging Bishop Curry back?
Well, Alan, the workshops used to be in part of
I
convention,
think the
and that
work-
was the reason many of us enjoyed it more, because there was a lot
And I
of
think
really good
workshops
education.
in person
Yes.
are really a lot better than doing them by Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can ask questions, you have interaction with the people, and
Community.
I kind of like that approach, but I mean, I think this was a touch of Bishop Kim trying to, change it a little bit, and it seems like we're getting less and less workshops.
Yeah, I
It was
think,
efficient, it was
they wanna-
efficient that way, right, for sure.
But to support her vision of clergy led and, of lay led and clergy supported, having those workshops more in person would more support her vision of what she wants in that respect.
Yes and no. I mean, I think another way of looking at it, which I try to see it through this lens, you'll appreciate this, I think. It uses up gasoline and, I mean, it's environmentally,
Right.
it's not a great thing to try to get everybody in one place, because then you have a lot of people coming from all these different places, and I know for you people, so what, who cares? But, I mean, that's kind of the price you pay.
Even for the people who are there already.
I agree with that, yeah. Like I said, I enjoy the breakouts and they're good company, and you meet people and you get great ideas.
Exactly.
I think from my standpoint, I've been part of offering workshops and things like that at conventions, but if you're going there, let's say you're going down on Thursday night and you're staying through Saturday afternoon, you're already spending that amount of time doing this convention thing, and then to devote a Saturday morning that's not connected to any of that is just more time, whereas what are we doing there this afternoon? Well, we could have had those workshops, or maybe a different set, or something like that. So there is something to engage folks. The last time we were in Pueblo, I mean, most of you know this, it's not a secret. If I go to a clergy conference, if I go to a convention, I go fishing. I go fishing, on the way there. And last time we were in Pueblo, I was able to go fishing in the afternoon because there wasn't anything going on Saturday or Friday afternoon. I couldn't do that this year because there was something in here that I thought I maybe needed to be there, but I'm not so sure, So I think that there's some decision needs to be made about how to make all of that time valuable. Because clearly, this could have been done in one day,
Yeah, right. Easy.
and with the exception of having 2 addresses by Bishop Kerr.
Yeah.
I'll just make the comment that years ago I was a director of the National Association of Home Builders, which is no great deal. I was one of 1,400 or 1,500 people. But we went to Anchorage, and there was the most contentious meeting ever because they wanted to raise dues for the first time in 15 or 20 years. And it was just absolutely silly. So before the next meeting, somebody built some consensus and explained to everybody else why we need to raise dues. And all of a sudden, boom, done. So that was all the back alley work that got done and made it happen. So it's important to do that, rather than, which just burns up a lot of gasoline.
Well, it was interesting because, I mean, I've been around long enough, but I remember when each convocation was also separate.
Yeah.
And they, again, your answer you're already given on gasoline and so forth, but I like to go to convocation when everybody got together, we talked, we visited, you got a lot more out of it than just listening to a Zoom presentation, because when you listen to Zoom, it's planned out. And you don't get as much conversation or what's going on. You don't get a better feel for it. But in answer to your question, what the bishop did is she got tired of making 5 different talks to 5 different convocations. So she made all the convocation meetings on one day. So she would give a presentation, and actually her presentation is an initial presentation. Here's what's coming up at convention. And then that's the first time we hear the budget. So if you actually go through all these, you go through convocation, go through the budget hearing, and then go to the workshops, you get a lot of background. And I always do that because I think there's meat in there that you want to pick up. But it does require a lot of time. But it's not too bad because you're doing it Zoom before we get to convention.
I see it as an opportunity to see the people in each region face to face.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not a big Zoom fan.
Well, and previous bishop, we would have 2 convocations incorporated
When I first,
together, and then we would
Yeah.
separate.
yeah,
And
Well, even the idea of having the committee meetings, perhaps if all these various committees that meet and make the reports would meet, because they meet several times a year. And if each meeting would happen in a different area, so that that area could be specifically invited to participate in that, so that the amount of travel and all would be limited to a few folks and not a larger group. It might make it more inclusive for the various regions to take part in each of the different activities. It wouldn't all be the same level necessarily, some would be earlier and some would be later on, but at least you'd have some, feel like that there was some more input from each region into each.
Well, there is a diocesan finance committee, I served on that for 6 years, and that's kind of where the budget is brought together initially. And there's a lot of work going on in the background that we don't see.
I know there is.
It's 10 of 10, we've been going at this for a while, it's been really great conversation.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether or not there are other questions that anybody else has, people that say, I'd be really interested in knowing what y'all thought about X.
Does Jim have all the jokes that were?
Yeah, I do have.
Jim wrote those jokes down.
When the person, Mary Kate is a very interesting person, but she was head of elections, and she's just standing up there waiting for the vote to be tallied up. And so while she was doing that, she started sharing. So here you go.
These are
Okay, here we go.
dad jokes.
What did the tectonic plates say when they collided?
I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All dad jokes.
Up and downhill from there.
Okay, I was working for a calendar factory and I got fired, all because I took a few days off. Why was the baseball getting bigger? Then it hit me. We were listening to it broke it up, it was funny.
It was great
One more.
comic
Let's
relief.
see. French fries were not cooked in France, they were cooked in Greece.
Oh boy.
That was Mary Kay's, while she was standing there waiting for the vote, she shared them. And at first we thought she was serious, and then we started laughing. She was great, yeah.
Well, it's her deadpan delivery.
It took a while for the bishop to sort of cotton on to what was going on. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
This is good.
Would you go again? I guess that's a question. Would you go again?
Well, we have a great opportunity because it's gonna be here in Denver, so, people that have never gone have that opportunity to go, and I think it's always great for people to go. I think I've done 30 of the last 40, but what was great for me is I was extra, but alternate, okay. But that meant I didn't have to vote, so I didn't have to worry about voting at all. I just sat there and watched everybody else trying to vote.
Trying to figure out how to use their phone.
I will share with you though, Jim gets more excited about national. He goes for the whole time to be a volunteer, and he gets put different places, and he just loves just being there.
Those extroverts.
Yeah, I know. Well, I work the house, I normally work the House of Worship and the House of Deputies.
Seeing people.
And quite frankly, in the House of Deputies, I know where to go to get the best seat in the whole House of Deputies. And it's where they ask the questions.
And he's not a voting person, he's just there.
I'm just there in case somebody has a problem, but I get more out, I love that.
And Jim's really helpful there. Really helpful. I want to say I came primarily to listen and sort of share. I hope it's okay to share this with other people, but it's very, very important to hear what really worked and what is still could probably be better. And I have a lot to do with the business part of the meeting. I have nothing to do with the workshop kind of stuff. But I just assumed after COVID the workshops would come back, and they haven't.
Yeah.
That's a new bishop.
Well, I think if I remember, some of the conversations was, well, we had during COVID, and this was true for everything, right? There was a lot of stuff, people doing stuff on Zoom because they were stuck. You know, so we, well, I don't have anything else to do on Saturday morning, I can't go anywhere, so I may as well watch the workshop on Zoom. Well, then, of course, Zoom went away, and all of the Zoom participation, a lot of the things went away, but we haven't sort of caught up to the fact that we're not gonna get the participation at a Zoom workshop a Saturday a week before. You know, I think that if they wanna do it in the afternoon, on the Saturday that we're there, and Zoom that,
Yeah.
or live stream that, but I think that we're technologically limited in terms of the amount of bandwidth that we can do. So the people who didn't want to come and wanted to hear what that workshop was all about could do it.
And that's really important to keep that still open to anyone at all.
Yeah, yes, and I think that that's that balancing act that y'all
And that's a good
downtown
point,
trying to
'cause I
figure out.
That's one reason they did it, because, you know, all the ones that are on Zoom are open to anybody in the congregation. But generally, it's only the delegates that actually look at them, but anybody in the congregation could see them.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for serving, those of you who were
Thank you very much for
and
serving.
delegates from Good Shepherd and all the other ways that folks serve and all of that, so.
Sleepless nights,
Pardon?
a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
And safe travel for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next week, this gathering will focus on the regions. We'll hear more about what's going on that. And just as a sneak preview, the 3 weeks following, there will be 3 weeks after this next one, before Advent starts. And so for those 3 weeks, we're going to, and I've got books ready if people want them. Bishop Epting sort of didn't know that he did this, but Help Thanks Wow. So we're gonna discuss Anne Lamott's little book, Help Thanks
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
The 3 essential prayers.
Oh, yeah.
And one chapter, each one of those is one chapter, and so we'll spend a week on each one.
Lamont?
Pardon? Yeah, Anne Lamott's
Oh,
book.
she's a fabulous
She
writer.
is.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing after that.
Cool.
So, anyway,
Nice
again,
to read.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Put stuff under your chair. Are you ready?
The other reason it was good to go, I'd never been to Pueblo before. So give me excuse to go to Pueblo.
Been down there to fish, and I was in the last one that was nice.
Pueblo's a nice town. That river walk is great.
Riverwalk is nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think Louisville